Hello, everybody, and happy Sunday, Memorial Day weekend 2023. All right, enough of that. Um, so, kind of half laughing, kind of half serious mode. I did kind of just have a tumble. I fell. I was walking around the house and I had forgotten that I placed a clear bin in the middle of the floor because I was bringing back some pool toys and stuff. So, got to enjoy the pool with the kiddos 2 days now, and so that was awesome. But I mean, yeah, so an unexpected obstacle. I didn't see it. I tripped, fell, landed on another box of toys, smashed the plastic into pieces, picked up most of the pieces. I'm gonna have to go back and so I'm like picking up all the little toys and then making sure. Yeah, anyways, it's just a big old to do. But I'm really happy because I did not break. So I got my daughter this like gigantic dollhouse, which you can see on the. There's a short about it. It's like my sweetie's sweetie cat or something. That one got like 15,000 or no, 1,500 views, I think, like within like the first hour. So, and again, I'm doing a lot of this stuff. Oh yeah, also I'm Darth Vader. My son was playing, and so that's something else I wanted to talk about. So let's go ahead and head on back. Unfortunately, actually, I could just go ahead and fix. Whatever. I was gonna say that actually fixes it so it doesn't go off the track, but it doesn't match the bricks, and that's okay. I was actually showing my son this area because I was telling him, well, you could build here if you wanted. But I was also showing him the map there, and as you can kind of see, because it's in between the crafting and inventory thing. But anyways, that's still very close to, my base, which I'm actually starting to joker it out a little bit, get some purple and green going. It's actually with my see, and there we go. I gotta fix this one too. This one's a little more risky because then it's like, I don't know. It's really close to have a thing, but that's just how it ended up. I imagine was building it from the other way, and I generally do 8 in between. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so I, yeah, probably started there, ended up here, and this is pretty tight in here. Like, I still don't even know what I'm doing with this. This is the cactus farm. It's kind of pointless. Actually, let's go and check on that. We'll just take the shortcut. And anyways, yeah, so this is a cactus farm, kind of pointless, but we'll see how much is gathering it. And then I was going to go over to the map room and show you. It's not really a good tell. So it looks, because I've taken some, it looks like, I don't know, it's like this isn't even like, yeah, 2.5 stacks, almost 3 stacks. So if I'd want to see how much, I'd actually like start it fresh and then kind of get a frame of reference for, all right, yeah, for this musing. Let's go ahead and start it fresh. If there's another bone meal that appears, it'll show up there. And basically that's what's going on to kind of catch you up to speed. This entire structure, the only purpose, the sole purpose of this is so 8 cacti, and that's why I also have these right here. So I was like harvesting them so I could continue to build them. And then I even have another cactus patch right there so I can harvest. But anyways, and I can also remove this remove this composter. See, you heard that, or just heard something fell in there. A piece of cactus, because I have pieces of fence. It's really simple. There's pieces of fence up here. So as soon as the cactus grows to level, the second level, the second block, it breaks because it can't be next to a block, but yet it's still alive because it's here. And it's kind of, I don't know, like those bonsai trees where they intentionally trim them and prune them to restrict their growth and stuff. Well, this mechanic in Minecraft is mining the cacti and turning them into bone meal, which is very useful for collecting wood. Basically, that's what the main reason I use it is, and I'll even use a bunch of random crops too. Like, usually use the crops to either trade or turn them into bone meal. And you can dump as much as you want in here, but if you've seen my other videos, there's that quad stack composting up there. But anyways, I digress. So now we'll be able to see that. Oh, there's another one. So, and the reason I did the quad stack composter setup was so I could actually study, which I still haven't done. Maybe we'll do that. But like see what the best one is. And unless I write it down, honestly, I'm not going to remember anyway. So back to this. So I told my son, I was like, I'd much rather you have an entire realm. Like, I mean, I know this is on a realm, but like, Minecraft realm, but at the same time, yeah, he should have his own area. I don't want to say kingdom. I mean, that would be the perfect word for it, but honestly, like, I'm more, it's less friction to just try to use something different than try to keep saying that because honestly, and this isn't being like, overly feminist or anything, and I know I randomly say like, oh, guys and gals and that. It's because it does add up and I don't know. It's I digress, but that's why I say it. I'm not like all overly, but anyway, that was the other thing too. Is like I had a laugh because I only broke a container of toys, not an actual toy. So that was a huge relief. And it hurt a little bit. And mostly it was just my pride that got hurt. So, anyways, I was also doing the Twitters too. I'm still trying to form like some kind of coherent thought of what these projects really are. Cybersecurity specifically, and the blue teaming projects. And it sounds super hippy dippy. And there's even, and I constantly say that South Park is one of my favorite TV shows. It is, I believe. I mean, if I had to pick an absolute favorite, oh no, I'd say Breaking Bad now, but it's very close. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The point of that is actually, what was I even saying with that? Because, anyways, South Park. Seriously. So I got so caught up in. So Breaking Bad is good too. If you're really trying to study behavioral and psychological of factors that contribute to crime and criminal activity, you know, yeah. South Park is also good too. That's very good for a moral compass. I mean, and it's pretty evenly split. Like they do lean pretty Democrat at times, but I've also oh wait, no, I take that back. They have an entire season ripping on Trump, but at the same time you've got Republicans ripping on Trump too. So that's not really a huge surprise, but they do kind of try to stay as fair and as middle of the road, but they do definitely lean left. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that, but just like, Colbert. I used to watch a lot of Colbert. Now I don't because it's too much hassle. Like I'd rather watch Waddles on YouTube or even watch my own stuff and just kind of be like, oh, okay, well, this is what I can improve next time. And because I watch these things and I enjoy them. So even if nobody likes them, no, I'm just kidding. I already know that like this will help. Sorry, this bothers me too. Because it's technically not there. Like at some point I did this and there it is. Now I did that intentionally with these, just kind of, like, hey, they're completely inverted. And these, you don't actually know. They could just be diagonal, but so it's kind of one of those like correlation things. Like, and do they actually correlate? Like, yes, these are facing the same general direction, but their initial vector or direction, well, their vector is nothing because they're not moving, but their initial direction was, well, that. And then I just do that. So, and that's how I can tell. So, like, say, I want to do that, and then let's see what the other side is, which just happens to be. Ooh, now that's interesting. You can see the stem is different. So, which one's the top and which one's the bottom? Interesting. The small one is the top, the bigger one is the bottom. All right, so I never knew that. We learned something today. And that's just this texture pack, mind you. So, and that's an easy way to just test, check for yourself. And that's why I say, the Twitter, it's an awesome tool. It's annoying, but it's awesome. And it's because it's connecting everybody that might not normally speak. And whatever you think about Elon, I love that he changed it to where we started seeing other people's stuff because it was uncomfortable at first, but it was a necessary discomfort to kind of really try to get to the bottom of some things because normally it's what they call echo chambers, and both sides are completely guilty of this. I mean, and I've been definitely guilty of this, and that's why I'm more embarrassed of some of my older tweets, and same with some of my YouTube video stuff. Some of it is like, yeah, pretty cringe, as they would say. But no, and like I was saying last time, I'll be working on those Scratch program things with the Cringe Chronicles, basically laying out like awkward moments in my life. I don't know. Yeah, like skits. Interesting. Yeah, they are like skits. I'm just thinking like Monty Python and stuff, and like, let's go ahead and just start harvesting. Like I don't even remember where I put gunpowder. I think I tried to put it at the bottom of the mob grinder, which, by the way, that's also what this structure is. This gigantic white structure. The only purpose, that's polished diorite, by the way. I mean, and it looks a little different in this city texture, but the only purpose for that is when I switch it out of peaceful, mobs will spawn in there, and then that takes care of my harvesting. Not the most humane way, but it's, I'm, I'm not playing this to be humane. I'm also not playing this to be I don't know. I should mention real quick that I used to play a lot of Portal Knights before I got into Minecraft, and even in there, they have a disclaimer whenever you start a new world. It's like, please don't build offensive structures, and by that I mean, like anything like like just anything messed up. You want to talk about like Nazi stuff or inappropriate or like or gruesome, like like gallows or anything. And it's funny because, ugh, well, I mean, it's not funny, but it's worth noting that all of these things happened within the last couple of centuries. So it's like. Oh, I mean, and I imagine there's a lot of thinking back in like my history classes. Like I imagine there's a lot of messed up stuff in like ancient history. In fact, I know there was. But then at the same time, how would they measure up? Because already, just like COVID, you look at the deaths with COVID, and whether you agree or disagree with actual death counts or whatever, because that's one of the arguments, like the anti-vax arguments. But, and which, sorry, not just anti-vax, it could also just be conspiracy in general, because not everybody who opposes the COVID situation, the narrative as it exists or as we perceive it. Sorry, I'm just saying like it's like the COVID narrative, but I don't want to discredit it because it is founded by a lot of science. But there are also potential pieces of evidence leading to some, what is it, pork bellying or what was the term I saw when Jon Stewart was fighting the, I mean, he was doing a great thing. Like there was the burn pit victim law that and I watched a few of these things on Twitter, mind you. So I was very connected instantly to that. That's again why I love it because I do have my echo chamber of Democratic Twitter accounts, a lot of them. But I also have some from the quote unquote other side. And that's key because as much as it might upset you, and yeah, people are rude. I'm rude. And let's get that right out of the way too. It's like I might not even intend to, but when you're typing away and you're tweeting, like it gets out from you. Same with like anyone who's had like relationships back in the day. You say some pretty dumb things and then you hit send and you're like, oh. And mind you, this was back in the day when text cost 10 cents a text. So I was already like trying to like craft and like construct the best text message for every scenario. Wasted a lot of my life. Like, well, I wouldn't say wasted. Like, I mean, it did treat me to, or teach me how to phrase things to be like, to get the most benefit out of my time and my text. Like, I mean, yeah, 10 cents. I just say that because you can't be sending a ton. And you don't have a lot of room for error, too. And I guess you could also say you don't want to ruin relationships, which I totally started off my first, like, serious relationship horribly. Like, that's going to be a cringe chronicle. Yeah, actually, that is. And it was just my naivety. I was naive and inexperienced. Actually, we'll just go ahead and say it, and then I'm going to make it into a cringe chronicle later. But it's not that I forgot her birthday. No, because I knew the birthday was coming up, but I thought that this particular present was actually an okay enough idea. But then I even thought to myself as I was doing it, I was like, this kind of seems like a cop out, but I didn't know what else to get her. I mean, at this point, I was like, how serious do I got to show her? Like, how much money do I got to spend? I worked hard for this money, but like, oh, I do like her, I love her, oh, blah blah blah, and all this. And it's like, yeah. And so the psychology behind all that, which is important, and and I'm gearing up for when my kiddos get to be teenagers, and even before that, they're already talking boyfriend girlfriend stuff, which made me think back to, because I need a frame of reference for that. Like, is that a lot? Is that a little? Like, is that concerning? Or, because if you just hear it at face value, yeah, any parent's concerned when they start hearing their kids talking about boyfriends and girlfriends. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, that's some of that redneck stuff. Like, I don't care who you are. That's funny right there. Oh, and I do love the redneck humor, but oh, it cuts so deep. Because I say it. Anyways, and that's fine. Like that kind of stereotype I'm not too worried about because I understand that based on my actions, my communication, both verbal and nonverbal, is pretty redneck sometimes. But then it's also pretty cultured because not saying I went to like a foreign, it's not that extreme, but moving from a small town to a city, it is kind of a culture shock and, different universe. And with that comes different perspectives, different experience, different methods for fixing problems. And that causes more problems. And really that is like, you want to say the root of all evil? It is money. That's one of the roots, but there could be more than one root. Most plants have more than one root, right? Even these. No, I'm just kidding. They don't have. There is rooted dirt. Never mind. I take that back. There is a block now that's rooted dirt. That's relatively new. But, anyways, no. The root of evil is money. One of them. But that ties into greed. That's like same thing. But like at the same time, money has just been our best effort to try to unify all of our different universes, all of our different environments. And that's why I think it's so much I'm very optimistic with future generations because think about the Into the Spider-Verse. Like already, kids today, my kids love that movie, and like we're talking grade school. I'm not going to divulge too much about them. I hope they are going to have their own YouTube channel as soon as actually as soon as I feel comfortable with it because I'm not quite there yet. Like they're not quite old enough, and honestly, I think that might actually be a good metric. Like no elementary school kid should have a YouTube. Now I say that, but like the ones that do, like I'm thinking specifically Ryan. There's that. Like I don't think that's actually gonna mess that kid up that much. I think it's risky, and I say that because I definitely enjoyed them. Don't get me wrong. Like I enjoyed the kids' videos when I was raising my kids. Like we got entertainment and value out of that, and we watched a lot of YouTube. Oh, and by the way, YouTube, if you're watching these, which I know you're scanning them, but if anyone ever ends up watching this, I will say that we bought a lot of Prime because of the advertising on YouTube. And that's really for everyone too, because just be aware that this is common modern TV. Like now we're at the point, like think of me as Bob Ross and I'm just over here and you can watch me whenever you want, stop, start, like I don't care, it's not going to offend me. Some people feel better with like 30-minute videos, but like I'll watch Waddles all day and like he's got some pretty, although actually I say that, but I think he limits his videos. I mean, even around an hour. I know Fighting Cowboy does about an hour, and that's a good segment. That's like pretty much good for anybody. I mean, classic movies were always like 2 hours or 3 hours, but you got to remember the amount of money that went into that. Like, you almost had to have like the direct value coming back, like or proportionate, or however you want to look at it. And now it's like anyone can be an entertainer, and yeah, and actually, and it is easy to make money off of these things if you get up into like the millions of subscribers. Because I can at least tell you with Twitch, if you're thinking about making a Twitch channel, here's something that you should know: is that you need to reach a certain threshold to make a payout. Now, granted, Twitch provides a lot of free tools that makes it really easy to do, so you can do it, and there's like very little investment on your part. There's a little time like to ramp up, but as far as like actual equipment investment? Yeah, I was gonna say I think I just did the top one, but not moving down. Um, but yeah, and Twitch is fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not so much a fan of doing the videos. Like I like them when it's like got a focus. I mean, because I don't know, like, or actually no, I take that back. The Borderlands ones are awesome, and I feel really bad about one particular follower. We're actually friends on the PlayStations too, and I don't. Ugh. And if you're watching, I apologize. I don't really like playing with a lot of people that much. I only play with like a couple of my friends back home, but that was fun when we were doing the stream. So I should like, but it's almost like I feel like it would be weird if I wasn't streaming because that's how I was like communicating to them. I don't even know if it's like a he or she, and I don't mean offense by that, and it doesn't matter. Like if you, oh, okay, so, and I'm a little older, so I have seen movies like Euro Trip where he actually thinks that this super attractive woman is like this guy, and he's like best friends with this guy, and then he finds out it's a woman, and he doesn't know that, but she knows him. And again, this is like a perfect example of like different cultures lead to potential awkward situations. And actually, real quick, the Hydra thing that I was talking about, that's why it was an awkward situation because I was just a white guy in India, and I just yelled out, "Oh, tranny prostitute!" I'm pretty sure that's like the equivalent of like or a transvestite, or because I don't think it's like nice to call them Hydras. I don't know. And so I risked that just blurting out because in anthropology, I remember he said that, but I can't remember if it was a term that would be disgraceful for them to be addressed by or entity, and that bothers me. So we were in a closed taxi cab. And so I wasn't about to like yell it to their face, but at the same time, they were walking up and they were like tapping on the windows, like making it awkwardly like, and any subtle like inclining that you're interested, they'd be like, oh, okay, there's a potential, and nothing on them, by the way, for that, because like we need to, that's okay if that annoys you, if that bothers you, and it bothers them too. I'm sure they don't like tapping on windows and like all the disgusted looks. I think about that every time I see someone panhandling on the road. It's like, I just want to print out a bunch of slips of paper with like all of the resources for when you are having hard times, even if you're like using substances and stuff, doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I think that's why they don't let you hang out at the mission during the day, is like you can just sleep, because they're not willing to actually like provide an entire environment. And it's dangerous too, and you have to be sober. I have heard them say that like if you try to stay at a mission or a shelter, you have to be sober. Like that's why. And so then And then it makes it dangerous because then like they don't have a house to be using these substances in. Not saying that using substances is okay. I'm just telling you the underlying reasoning for this is okay. Now you've got a bunch of druggies out on the streets, like, and they got nowhere to go. So it's like, all right, you know, and that is something that here in Colorado, our mayor, and I know we'll get back to Eurotrip or we won't, hopefully, but hopefully we'll get back to it. But I believe it was our mayor in either Denver. I don't think Colorado's mayor. I think that's called the governor. Anyway, sorry. It shows how much I remember for government class or how much I care. Like, that's the thing. And that's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like we should have recurring civics requirements. And actually, that's one of the things I was tweeting about. Oh, real quick, the mayor thing. So, Colorado or Denver mayor, there's someone like that, he tried to see how effective our homeless shelters were. And they're super effective if you're not using substances. If you're using substances, then you have to go to the tent cities and all that. And so right there, well, like a lot of people say, oh, well, they better just stop using substances. Well, that's easier said than done. And we are going to have entire conversations on substance. In fact, I'm working on some jam boards to just kind of tie it home because I do have a lot of friends in rehab and or that have gone through rehab or teach rehab. Like, so I've definitely piqued my interest. So. And maybe for paid subscriptions. Okay, yeah. So there's also a part 3 from yesterday, or no, 2 days ago. Sorry, yeah, I was with the kiddos all day yesterday, and I'm not about doing this stuff when they're around. Like, I mean, I co-parent with, or I share custody with my co-parent, here in Northern Colorado. So like, we got a system, but like when they're not here, yeah, that's why. Then I'll do musings and stuff. But when they're here, it's all about them, and that's fine. And by that, I treat them just like I talk to normal, like other people, adults, for the most part. I still tell them they can't say adult words, and I still tell them like, and they'll test the limits too. They'll like moan or like do like stuff, adult content, and it's like because they're curious. They're trying to probe any weakness of learning what adult content is because they're aware that there's adult content. They know, like everybody knows, and that's why I feel like my parenting tips are pretty invaluable if I say so myself. Even though I'm not the best parent ever, I do know that, the simple realization that little ears, little eyes, they're going to see stuff. And even if you say, so you best live in a way that you never say stuff like that, or you make it acceptable. So that's like all right, now trying to be, let's see, how much are we in? Okay, yeah, so that's okay. So like if someone stumbles on this, they're not going to be hearing about like sex stuff. So, and also if once I get bigger, I'll have to watch stuff like that. But anyways, I'm not trying not trying to make a job out of YouTube, so I can say these things. The important thing is when I think about problem solving, an easy yet very troubling problem is contraceptives. Now, where you target conception at the man or the woman, and let's not even get into like which one gender and all that. Like we'll leave that for another thing. We have gone into that, but actually, yeah, we'll just leave those. So I do want to put the gunpowder somewhere because I really don't want to. I mean, I'm gonna have to switch it out of peaceful, but I almost want to do that, like get suited up and then go build a whole nother base. Because the problem with this place is even if I light it up all good, like, there's still probably going to be monsters, like, coming around and stuff. And, like, this is going to blow up, and then, then I got to rebuild this. Especially, like, I've had this chest blow up. This is my, my resources chest. I always do this in things. And it's just, like, unless I hide things, which I can even show you that. Like, I hid some, not intentionally, because I actually, like, shared a stack with my buddy. But I also built this, like, just to see. But then I was like, but that's assuming that he's actually going to be poking around, which I don't mind if he does. And I know he's not going to take things. So it's just one of those unspoken things. It's like, and then you see things like the pumpkins and the melons switch up. I haven't seen it for a while, but I have seen it. I know we went off like 3 different tangents right there. But anyways, back to the homeless people, substance abuse. It's very important, and it's not just for people experiencing homelessness. And another day, I used the word bum just to try it out. Haven't used it in a while, but the olden days, the way culture and society used to be, you'd call people a bum all the time. It wasn't like, and now it's pretty, and see, even right now, I don't know, I could be offending some people saying that. And I don't mean it in an offensive way. It's just, it could be a blind spot. I could be unaware of the current societal norm of the meaning or use of that word or term. I know, it's very wordy, very thing, but hey, we got these communication technologies. We can do that now. We can afford that. Like, how much out of your life did that just take you? A few seconds. Wait till you try to go to college. And that's the only other thing. Like, I almost want, we need to make education nonprofit and not force, but I'm almost saying like we should make like college standardized education. Seriously, because and then by that we also need to make all the other costs go down. Like you can't just because that's one of the biggest barriers to or the largest barriers to education, or at least higher education. Now, whether they wanted to or not, and that's why you have so much of that out there. Like you can get a good job and you can be a plumber or an HVAC technician or all these. Actually, wait, no, we're leaving these raw. That's right, because I don't know if I'm gonna. Sorry, I was about to mindlessly do that. Let's go mindlessly mine a bunch more. It's also stock on emeralds too, and this is kind of another junk drawer. So, all right, and get that. Anyways, education. So, oh shoot. Actually, you know what? Just realized my laundry's done. All right, this is going to be a half-hour one. And it's funny because the part three, which I didn't upload, and I don't know if I will, I'll probably make that like a little guarded, a little farther down on after I've put out a few more videos because it does go into a little more of the reasoning as to how I know so much about, and not saying that I know everything. Don't get me wrong. You know, never assume that, please, because it's just annoying. And I know a lot of people don't, but I'm saying it for like the one or two people that might eventually be like on the comments, be like, oh, this and that. Like, no. So, oh, there's thunder and lightning going on. There's some lapis. All right, but anyways, I'm going to do the laundry, then I'll make another one, and we'll get into that. But I did divulge a little bit more than I'd probably feel comfortable sharing with just anybody, and at least at this point in time. Because the thing is like, you know, I got to worry about if my kids see these videos, and that's the thing, is like they know that dad has a checkered past, just like I know that my cybersecurity professor had a checkered past. What does that mean exactly? I don't know, and I don't care because I really don't. I mean, that could be really condemning for people that have a past or history, and that is intentionally vague because you know anything, even like you know like rape victims, sex assault victims, like they have a past and a history, and they have deep-seated PTSD from being assaulted. And so again, why I try to spend so much time addressing that particular issue is because it is something that I am concerned about, and all of these things are things that I am concerned about. Oh, the eerie music comes in, and my laundry is sitting stagnant. I need to go hang it. But anyways, I will BRB, and I will see you GG BRB. There you go. Back when we had to pay for text messages, and so we had to shorten them. We're not just old. I mean, we're getting old now, but that was the hindsight of, or the hindrance of tech at the time. So same with pictures loading with dial-up. You'd get like a little bit of the picture, then a little bit of the picture, then a little bit, like it was printing. And then printers. Oh my gosh. We use a print. So what I'm saying is, I'll BRB, but that is a good point. We will talk about that. So tech to the older generations. See you later.